नमस्कार। आज के टॉक शो में सुप्रसिद्ध अमरावती से हमारे सीनियर पीडियाट्रिशियन डॉक्टर सतीश तिवारी जी आए हैं और वो आज आपको बताएंगे राइजिंग ट्रेंड ऑफ सेक्सुअल अब्यूज इन इंडिया। आप फाउंडर प्रेसिडेंट हैं मेडिको लीगल एथिक्स एसोसिएशन के, फाउंडर कन्वीनर हैं ह्यूमन मिल्क बैंक एसोसिएशन, जो कि एक बहुत बड़ा कार्य इन्होंने अपने टेन्योर में करा है। फिर फाउंडर सेक्रेटरी है मेडिकल लीगल ग्रुप ऑफ इंडियन एकेडमी ऑफ पीडियाट्रिक्स, IYCF के, जिसका मैं भी मेंबर हूँ। इज अ प्रोफेसर इन मेडिकल कॉलेज एंड बेस्ट टीचर अवार्ड इनको प्राप्त हो चुका है। 3 ओरेशंस टू हिज क्रेडिट टिल नाउ। इज a great effort, great work by Dr. Satish Tiwari. We are proud to have him on this platform today for a very important topic. I welcome Dr. Satish Tiwari
नमस्ते एवरीवन।
to share his slides and start the talk.
सभी को एक बार फिर से नमस्ते। डॉक्टर टूटेजा जी को विशेष प्रणाम और नमस्ते फॉर गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी, आप सभी के सामने बात करने के लिए और अपने विचार आगे रखने के लिए। हम सभी जानते हैं कि हमारे देश में सेक्सुअल अब्यूज बढ़ रहा है और उसके क्या कारण है और उस पे क्या उपाय है, इसके बारे में हम लोग बात करेंगे। The rise in sexual abuse in adolescent in India is a deeply concerning issue, influenced by a complex interplay of cultural, social, technological, and institutional factors. The reason behind all this is that whether really the sexual abuse has increased or there is a increased awareness and reporting. So we all agree that whether the abuse has increased or not may be a debatable issue, but definitely there is a greater awareness. The campaigns and media coverage has increased. The more and more victims and families are encouraged to come forward and report the abuse. That's why there is rise in reported cases, and hence it does not necessarily mean that the abuse has increased. It could also reflect a better recognition and acknowledgement of the problem by the society and the community. In the last few years, there have been major legal reforms, laws like POCSO Act 2012. It made it easier to report the cases of abuse and broadened the definition of what constitutes sexual offenses. Initially, there were many cultural taboos and lack of sexual education. Silence around sexuality was there. Discussions about sexuality are stigmatized in our country, leaving the adolescent unaware of what constitutes healthy behavior, boundaries, and abuse. The lack of sex education, especially in the schools, leads to misconceptions and risky behaviors amongst the adolescent and increasing their vulnerability to abuse. The impact of technology has been massive in the last few years. There is easy access to pornography through the use of smartphones and unregulated internet access. This exposes the adolescent to the explicit content, sometimes normalizing exploitative behaviors. The online predators like adolescents are increasingly targeted on social media, the social platforms, gaming network, and of course the messaging apps and various other predators exploit their naivety. There is lot of cyberbullying and sextortion, sharing the explicit images on the social media videos amongst the peers, and this leads to the abuse, blackmail, and humiliation. What have been changes in family and social dynamics? There has been trust violation. Many times the adolescent are involved in abuse by the pupils known to them, such as various family members, sometimes neighbors, or maybe at workplaces or in the schools. This makes the victim difficult to report to the concerned persons. There is neglect and lack of supervision in urban and rural setting. There are economic pressures which force the parents to prioritize the work over. Closely monitoring the children's activity and exposing them to the potential harms is also neglected by the parents or the relatives. As far as the society is concerned, there is gender discrimination. Cultural norms often normalize the power imbalance and discourage the young girls from speaking up against the abuse. The victim blaming, fear of social stigma, the judgment, and to blame the adolescent deters the adolescent and their family from reporting the abuse. So the patriarchal behavior of the society and the gender norms also prevent the reporting of the abuse. Now, what are the psychological vulnerabilities? Adolescents are in developmental stage. They are marked by curiosity, the rebellious behavior, and many times emotional instability. This makes them susceptible to the manipulations by the abusers who exploit these insecurities and their desire for validation. As far as institutional support is concerned, it's also ineffective. The understaffed or untrained authorities like police, the educators, and various child protection agencies. These agencies often lack the trained authorities, trained officials, and they are lacking training for handling the adolescent sex abuse cases. The judicial delay in our country, there is lot of delay in the judicial process. The slow legal process again discourages the reporting and getting the justice for the victim. This again emboldens the perpetrator. So what are the issues or what are the various things we can do subsequently? So the approach has to be multi-pronged. There is need for comprehensive sex education at school level, age-appropriate, culturally sensitive education is important. There should be stronger legal and institutional framework and to support or enhance the training for the law enforcement agencies. The judicial process should be expedited. There should be robust child protection mechanisms or schemes. The digital literacy program is very important. The adolescent should be equipped with skills to navigate the online safety and of course recognize the predator's behavior. There is need to destigmatize the discussions related to sexual abuse, encourage the culture and consent and respect for the fish. The community involvement, empower the local communities to recognize the support and to report the abuse while supporting the victim and their families. The parenting support is very important on effective communication, supervision, and support for their children. Thus, by addressing these root causes and implementing the preventive measures, India can work toward reducing the prevalence of sexual abuse amongst the adolescents. Now, what is the rate of sexual abuse in our country and which states are the safe in our country or the safest? Now, if you look at the incidence of sexual abuse, according to the National Crime Record Bureau, the number of cases of rapes in India in 2020 were 28,000, averaging somewhere around 77 per day. In 2021, it was almost double, 54,000 children were the victims of sexual abuse. In 2022, the figure increased further. It's almost 65,000 where the children were abused. If we look at the age profile of the victims, according to 2022 report again, there were around 38,000 were raped. So out of this, the children were 51% between 16 to 18 years of age, 38 were between 12 to 16 years of age, and unfortunately, 11% were less than even 12 years of age. So this is the situation which indicates how much the sexual abuse is rampant in our country. But again, unfortunately, this is only the tip of the actual incidents because, as we discussed, there is significant stigma and shame attached to all these activities, and this deters the person from reporting or seeking the help. So the very problem are there. As per the report, at present, the Nagaland has the lowest incidence of crime based on the percentage of share, but unfortunately, our country ranks 148 out of 170 in the Index of Women, Peace and Security Index as per the 2021 data. What is the reason why these things are happening? So what is the role of media basically in this situation? We all know the media is westernized. We are showing more of the westernized shows, westernized pictures and all this. And unfortunately, those who are giving in media, they are exploiting the self. So the picture, like you can see, there is a self-exploitation. There is a should be limit and extent for the exploitation. The pop culture is there all over media. The women are shown in the advertisement as a picture for attracting the various customers. The interest in nudity has increased. The erotic pictures are there which influence the individual perception. The girls or women, as we discussed, are portrayed as culprits and their behavior is precipitated the whole incidence of sexual abuse. So this is what media is showing. The various online platforms, the internet, the social media have added fire to the fuel rather than improving the situation. What is the role of pornography? We said the government should try to control the pornography. The pornography which is available on internet or in books or in media, it increases the curiosity, it increases the fascination and the urge for the common people. The interest in nudity and erotic picture is a part of normal sexual curiosity. So we cannot say that this is abnormal as far as the development is concerned. But the important cause of pornography is bombarding or invasion by the media. The aim of unscientific or yellow magazines, what we call dirty books, is not to deal in truth. The aim is not to educate it, but to sell those books or those media clips. It distorts the image of the woman as a sex toy. So women are projected as a sex toy and to attract the customers. The obsession is definitely abnormal. So as we said, developmentally to some extent, we can feel that this is normal. But the obsession of pornography is definitely abnormal. And there has to be an effective legal action, which is from the government side is very important and desirable. So we request the government in our country, the government of India, the state government, to block the various pornographic sites as far as possible according to law in our country. Now, if the victim has suffered the sexual abuse, how as a doctor we can diagnose that this child or this adolescent has undergone the sexual abuse problem? If you look at the health and the physical examination of the child, there can be sexually transmitted diseases. There can be cases of early adolescent pregnancy. The child may have difficulty in walking, sitting, or standing. The undergarments of the child or the adolescent may be torn, stained, or bloody. There can be vaginal or penile discharge. There can be pain during the micturition, urination, or urinary tract infections. Enuresis or encopresis can be there. The child's mouth, the soft and hard palate may have multiple bruises. There may be difficulty in sleeping. There can be nightmares. And of course, the self-injurious behavior on the part of adolescents. So cutting, burning oneself, or suicide attempts can be there. As far as the cognitive development is concerned and the academic performance is concerned, there can be age-appropriate sexual knowledge can be given. The patient can have through the sexually implicit drawing. I remember one case in court where it was decided by the drawing or the painting of the child. She has painted that somebody is aggressive upon him, and from this, the judge has decided that this child has undergone the sexual abuse sometime in the life, and that she has detected in her drawing or the painting. So sudden change in academic performance, refusal to participate in certain activities like dressing for the gym because she might have fear that if she goes in that dress, she may be abused again. Difficulty in concentrating in the school or in the college because again she has the fear and she is thinking most of the times regarding the incidents that has occurred. The various emotional, psychological, and behavioral disorders can include the sexualized play, frequent sexual themes with toys and other children, frequent touching of genitals or masturbation, inappropriate sexual expression with adult like frequent hugging of a teacher or opposite sex individual that produces the arousal, aggressive sexual behavior with the use of force or verbal threats can be there, and the child or adolescent may be socially isolated or withdrawn. There can be extreme fearfulness reactions, clingy behavior on the child, the poor social skills, the substance abuse or delinquent behavior can be there. There is difficulty in trusting the other individuals, the fire setting or cruelty to the animals and running away from the situation or from the home can be there. Now, what is the role of parents? To discuss the role of parents, the simple word or simple synonym we can remember the inner wheel rule, that is pants. So we should talk pants to your children or to our children. Now, what is this pants? It's very easy to remember. The P is for the private parts are private. So nobody has liberty to touch those private parts. A is for always remember your body belongs to you. So your body is our own body. Nobody has right to touch it unless and until there is a permission. And when we say no means no, it's a statement. It doesn't mean half-heartedly no. Then the T is talk about the secrets that upset you. So whatever has happened in past, if somebody has asked to make it or keep it secret, we should tell your parents about those secrets. And of course, speak up to someone who can help. So it's not only parents. If you feel someone else can help you, please speak to those persons. Then, of course, how to help the adolescent, what we can do. The step one is recognizing the child has been sexually abused. We have to recognize because many times child may not be telling himself. Helping the child to talk about his or her experience. And step three is seeking the professional help or support to heal the child's trauma. Now, step one is recognizing that the child has been sexually abused. So please remember, recognizing an abusive situation is a skill, not only for the parents, but any caretaker or the relative. Most children do not report abuse because of various reasons, which we have already discussed. So parents have to understand the abuse with the child based on the behavior of the child, which we have already discussed. A single behavior cannot determine that the child has been sexually abused. So you have to keep in mind that if a child is doing repeatedly something, that means he has definitely been abused. And it could be a combination of many changes that we have discussed, how to identify. Then, of course, this is in short how to identify. So we have already discussed drop in academic performance, urinary infections, pain or swelling in the genital area, bleeding from the genital area, excessive increase or decrease in the weight, food intake, sudden disproportionate fear of the person or place. Then, of course, child looks sad or there is talks very little, withdrawn from the society or is aggressive. Then, of course, the suicidal attempts can be there. The direct or indirect hints or comments can be there about the abuse, use of abusive sexual language, sexualized behavior, and sexual activity at an early age. All these are the signs that somewhere the child has been abused. Now, step 2 is helping the child, and the rule for this is remember that the child is not at fault. So first, if you have any feeling that the child is at fault, it's because of him, which we have already discussed, that media projects that the child or girl was at fault, so that cannot be the rule. The second rule is make sure that the child understand the rule first. So it is not only we have to understand, we have to make child also understand that we believe in him. We do not feel that he was at fault totally, and it is his fault and not the fault of the abuser. So we have to keep these rules in mind while talking to the child regarding the sexual abuse. And it is important to understand why a child may not be talking about the sexual abuse himself. So why we have to try to find out, why we have to enable the child to talk, and if he is not talking in the first sitting, let us have a subsequent sitting with the child. So why they don't talk about the sexual abuse, we have already discussed. Again, we would like to summarize. So how do I say what word I should use? Child does not know many things in which way to tell. Then he has a belief that parents may not believe him for whatever he says or she says. So I don't even know how to say what happened. I just feel weird about it. This may be going on in the mind of the child. Then, of course, uncle did not really mean to be bad to me, or did he really mean? So child is confused whether the abuser or the person who has done whatever has done with the child, whether he is really abusing the child or whether he was just having some simple play. If I tell, my teacher might fail me if I tell the mummy. If in some other place, the person who is looking after the child, he may take some problem or he may create some problem. So that fear is in the mind of the child. I am scared because uncle told me not to tell anyone. It's a secret between us. And that is the aim of our examination or our talk with the child, that whatever has happened is not a secret. You have to tell that. Now, once this is done, the step 3 is seeking the professional support for the child to heal the trauma or to heal the child from the incidents which has happened to him. So sexually abused children often feel guilt. They have anger in their minds and sadness, shame, and confusion. So again, we would like to highlight here that the child abuse is not the child fault, but the child does not understand what has actually happened to him. So the precautions we should take during the communication with the child, we should not get panic or overreact to what child says. Make the child repeat the story if he is not able to tell in one sitting or at one time. Do not pressurize the child to talk, should not be done. Do not confront the offender in the child presence. So it's very important. We should not try to ask the child what happened to you, what this uncle has done with you. So the thing should be done with the confidence and taking the child in confidence and not talking in front of the offender. And as we repeatedly discuss, the most important is do not blame the child. As far as the professional counseling is done, realize that the abuse is not his or her fault. reduce the shame and guilt associated with the incidents, feel accepted, safe, and secure, rebuild the child's self-esteem and confidence by counseling, minimize the focus on the traumatic past and heal and move on, come to the terms with the consequences about the abuser, and the family also needs counseling to cope up with the abuser situation. How the schools can help? The school should have a sexual harassment policy. A guidance or counselor or principal should talk about the school's policy if there is some incidents occurs. Then of course, if there is no doubt, it can feel embarrassing to talk about the sexual harassment at first. Uncomfortable feeling should quickly wear off after a minute or so with the conversation. And in most cases, telling someone sooner leads to the faster results. So the school should help in informing the incidents to the not only parents but also to the authorities. How the society or the people in society can help. They should talk and affirm as they are the primary source of information and guidance. Teens develop positive, healthy attitude about the sex with authentic communication. The positive communication helps to establish individual values and healthy decisions. Teens need to be taught against the sexual exploitation, the aggression, and the guilt feeling associated with the sexual abuse, and advise them to wait for their chance to have the sex with partner on a suitable future date. So once everything is according to the social norms, then they can have the sex with the partner. So maybe after a marriage or after a proper relationship. What is the role of Indian Academy of Pediatrics? Our association should empower the individuals, families, communities, and societies regarding the sexual abuse and the abuse of the children at various places. Intervention skills to reduce the occurrence of such abuse and how to heal the trauma psychologically, socially, and the other problems. The IP should make efforts to break the silence around the child sexual abuse in the society and make the people aware, to emphasize the phenomenon of their lives as well as support them into process of healing, and to train the pediatricians for prevention of the abuse of the children. As far as role of government is concerned, this is the POCSO Act of 2012, which says about what is the sexual abuse, what is penetrative sexual assault, what is sexual assault, and what is sexual harassment. The Act also describes the punishment, including the punishment for the various assault, the various forms of aggravated assault, where the person in authority is making the sexual abuse, it becomes the aggravated form. And if more than one persons or a group of persons are involved in the abuse of the child, then it becomes a gang abuse or the what we commonly see in the media, the gang rape. So this is the act. The government has done its duty. Now it's our duty to see how we can prevent or how we can minimize the sexual abuse in the community. So here comes the role of spiritualism, and which is there in our culture since very long time. We'll see this small video to understand the spirituality.
Ando poe tosti. भंडों चढ़ते भंड हुआ भंड भालिए भंड हुआ बांधा सो क्यों बंदा चित जमने राजा भंडो ही भंड उपजे अंडे पांच न खोए नानक अंडे बार एक को सच्चा सोए एक सच्चा
Thank you, Dr. Saab, for the nice presentation. We are delighted that viewers will be benefited by your talk, and hope that again you will visit with some medical legal case on this site. And this is a very important topic you have discussed and detailed. And I think the IP will take the pro action and will talk to the government of India about banning all the pornography site in our country so that our children are not entangled in this thing. Thank you so much for your
Thank
talk.
you, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tuteja, and thank the audience for this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.